Let's walk on the wise path.
Have you ever wondered if the real teachings of Jesus go beyond the pages of the Bible? What if I told you that some of the most powerful lessons he shared were never meant for the masses? Imagine ancient knowledge, hidden from the public eye for over 2,000 years, because it was too powerful, too transformative to be given to just anyone. You're about to step into the depths of these secret teachings, the lost wisdom that could change how you see the world and yourself. This is not just another Sunday sermon, it's a key to understanding a deeper spiritual reality. For centuries, only a few were chosen to hear the full story. Jesus knew that not everyone was ready for these truths, so he wrapped his wisdom in parables, leaving clues for those who were willing to seek. But today, we're unpacking these hidden messages. We're breaking open the secrets that could awaken your soul, and you don't need to be a saint or a scholar to understand them. You just need to be open and ready to take a closer look. These teachings are like a treasure chest buried beneath centuries of tradition, waiting for the right moment to be discovered again. And if you're still here, it means you're ready for that discovery. You're ready to go beyond the surface, to look deeper, and to understand the real path that Jesus laid out, a path of inner transformation, spiritual awakening, and divine connection. So, grab a seat, open your mind, and let's explore the lost teachings of Jesus together. By the end of this video, you'll see why these hidden truths have the power to transform your life from the inside out. Think about the stories you've heard about Jesus. Whether it's the miracles, the parables, or the messages of love and forgiveness, they all seem so familiar, don't they? But what if I told you there's a whole other side to his teachings that most people have never heard about? It's like knowing the surface of the ocean, but never realizing the depths that lie beneath. The real mystery is that Jesus wasn't just talking about rules, commandments, or rituals. He was guiding people towards a complete inner transformation. You see, Jesus wasn't interested in simply building a religion. He was showing us how to awaken spiritually, how to access a state of consciousness that goes beyond our everyday reality. This is often called Christ consciousness, and it's a state of unity with the divine. But this isn't some distant, unreachable state meant only for a select few. Jesus made it clear that this potential is within each and every one of us. It's like he left behind a hidden roadmap with clues scattered throughout his teachings, waiting for us to piece them together. Imagine a teacher who doesn't just give you answers, but encourages you to dig deeper, to question, and to find the answers within yourself. That's the kind of teacher Jesus was. His words, like the kingdom of God is within you, aren't just poetic, they're invitations to look inward and discover a divine reality that's been there all along. Most of us have only seen one side of the coin, but today we're flipping it over. We're diving into those teachings that focus on spiritual awakening, inner peace, and a deeper connection with the universe. And trust me, once you see it, there's no going back. Teaching 1, the kingdom within. Let's start with a teaching that's as profound as it is simple. The kingdom of God is within you. This is one of those phrases that's often repeated but rarely understood in its true depth. Most people hear it and think of some far-off heaven, a place they'll reach after life if they've been good enough. But what if Jesus wasn't talking about a place at all? What if he was pointing us to a state of mind, a state of being that exists within each of us, right here and now? Think of it like a hidden garden. Imagine there's a lush, beautiful garden inside of you, filled with peace, joy, and a deep sense of connection with the universe. But over time, this garden gets buried under layers of worry, stress, and the noise of everyday life. Jesus was showing us that the path to this inner paradise isn't about going somewhere, it's about clearing away the distractions and reconnecting with the divine part of ourselves. It's about realizing that heaven isn't a reward waiting for us after we die. It's a reality we can experience today if we learn to turn inward. This teaching is a lot like the concept of enlightenment in Eastern traditions. Just as a Buddhist might seek nirvana by quieting the mind, Jesus was encouraging us to look beyond the external and find the divine within. It's a call to meditation, to self-reflection, and to letting go of the idea that spirituality is something outside of us. When you truly understand this, it's like finding a key that unlocks the door to a new way of seeing the world. And that door, as Jesus taught, is always open right inside of you. Teaching 2, I and the Father are one. Now, this next teaching is a bit of a game changer. In John 10:30, Jesus says, I and the Father are one. This has often been interpreted to mean that Jesus was claiming a special, unique connection with God. But what if there's more to this statement than meets the eye? What if it's not just about Jesus, but about all of us? Imagine looking at a wave in the ocean. It might seem separate for a moment, rising above the surface, but eventually it merges back into the sea. In the same way, Jesus was like a wave that recognized its unity with the ocean, the divine. And when he said, I and the Father are one, he wasn't just talking about his own experience. He was showing us a universal truth that all of us have the potential to realize this same divine unity. This teaching is closely related to the concept of non-duality found in mystical traditions around the world. Non-duality means that the separation we think exists between ourselves and the divine is just an illusion. At our core, we're all part of the same ocean of consciousness. It's not about dissolving into nothingness. It's about recognizing that we're already a part of everything. Jesus was encouraging us to look beyond the surface, to see past the illusion of separation, and to experience this profound oneness for ourselves. When you realize this, life starts to look different. You begin to see that every interaction, every experience, is a chance to recognize the divine in yourself and others. It's like waking up to a world where everything is connected, where you're not just a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean in a drop. And that's the deeper message Jesus was sharing, hidden right there in plain sight. Teaching 3, the eye of the single vision. Let's talk about a verse that's often overlooked, but holds a key to deeper spiritual insight. In Matthew 6:22, Jesus says, the eye is the lamp of the body. If your eye is single, your whole body will be full of light. At first glance, this might sound cryptic, but it's actually an invitation to explore a deeper level of consciousness. When Jesus talks about the single eye, he's referring to a kind of inner vision, what many mystical traditions call the third eye. Imagine it as a spiritual lens that allows you to see beyond the distractions of the physical world to perceive a reality that's more profound and more beautiful than what we can see with our two physical eyes. It's like having a flashlight in a dark room suddenly. You can see what's really there. In yogic traditions, this concept is tied to the Ajna chakra, or third eye center. When this center is activated through meditation and spiritual practice, it allows a person to access higher levels of awareness, to see beyond the veil of ordinary reality. Jesus wasn't talking about literal sight. He was guiding us to awaken this spiritual vision, to see with the eyes of the soul. This is what happens when you quiet your mind, let go of distractions, and focus on the present moment. It's like tuning a radio to a frequency that's always been there, but was drowned out by static. When your inner eye opens, it fills your being with light, revealing a reality that's filled with divine wisdom and inner peace. This teaching is an invitation to each of us to look beyond the material world, to perceive the spiritual dimension that's always present, just waiting to be seen. Teaching 4, Born Again in Spirit. Now, let's explore the phrase that has sparked countless interpretations, you must be born again, which Jesus shares with Nicodemus in John 3:3. For many, this phrase is synonymous with a religious conversion or a traditional baptism. But what if its true meaning is far deeper, pointing towards a profound transformation of consciousness? Imagine your mind is like a window covered in years of dust beliefs, fears, and assumptions clouding your view of reality. To be born again is like wiping that window clean, allowing you to see the world with new, unclouded eyes. It's about a shift in how you see yourself and the universe around you. Jesus wasn't talking about a simple change in beliefs. He was describing a complete renewal of the way we experience life, In mystical terms, being born again is about awakening to a new level of consciousness, where you no longer see yourself as just a physical being, but recognize the divine spark within you. It's similar to the concept of Kundalini awakening in Eastern traditions, where a dormant energy rises and brings about a heightened awareness. This inner rebirth allows you to see beyond the illusions of the ego, the part of you that clings to labels and fears, and instead connect with your deeper spiritual nature. Think of it like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. The caterpillar's world is limited, crawling on the ground, seeing life from a narrow perspective. But once it undergoes its transformation, it takes flight, seeing the world from a whole new viewpoint. Jesus was inviting us to take that leap, to be born again into a life where we see through the eyes of the soul, where heaven isn't a distant place, but a state of being that we can access right here, right now. Teaching 5, the narrow path. In Matthew 7:13-14, Jesus shares another teaching that is often misunderstood: enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. At first, this might sound like he's talking about strict rules or moral guidelines, but it goes much deeper than that. Imagine life as a vast forest, filled with countless paths. The wide road is the one most people take the easy way, filled with distractions, comfort, and the pursuit of material success. It's like being on autopilot, letting the noise of the world dictate your direction. But the narrow path, that's the road less traveled, the one that requires courage, self-reflection, and a willingness to let go of old habits and beliefs. Walking this path isn't about following a rigid set of rules. It's about choosing a life of inner exploration, facing your fears, and discovering who you really are beneath the surface. It's a path that demands letting go of the ego's grip, releasing the need for external validation, and focusing on the inner journey towards spiritual awakening. It's like climbing a mountain steeper and more challenging than the easy road below, but offering a view that takes your breath away. Jesus knew that not everyone would be willing to take this path. It's not as comfortable as following the crowd, but it's the road that leads to true freedom, to a life that is full of purpose, peace, and deep connection with the divine. If you've ever felt like there's something more out there, a deeper way of living, then maybe the narrow path is calling you. And while it may be difficult, the rewards are beyond anything you can imagine. Teaching 6, the vine and the branches. One of the most beautiful and profound metaphors Jesus used is found in John 15:5, where he says, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. On the surface, this sounds like a simple reminder of staying connected to Jesus. But let's dig deeper. There's a spiritual truth here that can change how we see ourselves and our connection to the divine. Imagine a vine growing strong and sturdy, with branches extending out, each one filled with potential to bear fruit. But those branches depend entirely on the vine for their life, their strength, their growth. In this metaphor, Jesus represents the divine source, the Christ consciousness that flows through all of creation. And we are the branches, individual expressions of this divine energy, each with the potential to manifest love, wisdom, and creativity. But what happens when a branch disconnects from the vine? It withers, loses its vitality, and stops bearing fruit. The same is true for us. When we become disconnected from our divine source, when we focus only on the external world, on material success and ego-driven goals, we start to feel empty, like something is missing. It's like trying to power a device without plugging it into an outlet. But when we align ourselves with the Christ consciousness, when we remember that we are not separate from this divine flow, something amazing happens. We begin to tap into an infinite source of inspiration, strength, and spiritual growth. It's like returning to a river after wandering in the desert, finding that the water of life has been flowing through us all along. And it's this connection that allows us to truly thrive, to bear the spiritual fruits of love, compassion, and wisdom in our lives. The hidden teachings and the inner circle. Why aren't these deeper teachings more commonly known? It's a question worth asking. If these insights are so powerful, why aren't they talked about more? Well, the answer lies in how Jesus approached his teachings. He knew that not everyone was ready to hear the full depth of his message, so he often spoke in parables, simple stories that contained profound truths for those willing to dig deeper. Imagine a master chef who only shares the most basic recipes with the general public, but saves the complex, secret ingredients for his apprentices. It's not because he wants to hide the truth, but because he knows that not everyone is ready to understand or appreciate the finer details. Jesus did something similar. To the crowds, he shared stories that could be understood on the surface level. But to his closest disciples, he revealed the deeper, mystical meanings behind those stories. In Matthew 13:11, he says to his disciples, "The knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them." It's a clear distinction. There was a deeper layer of wisdom, reserved for those who were ready to walk the path of inner transformation. This wasn't about creating an exclusive club. It was about recognizing that spiritual truths can't always be explained directly. They have to be experienced, felt, and realized within. And now, 2,000 years later, we're rediscovering these teachings. It's as if the time has come for these ancient secrets to be known more widely. Perhaps we're ready, as a society, to hear the full message, to understand that spirituality isn't just about belief, but about experience. It's about awakening to the divine reality that has always been right in front of us, hidden behind the stories and symbols. By exploring these teachings, we see a side of Jesus' message that is often overlooked, a message that embraces both the masculine and feminine aspects of spirituality. It's not about hierarchy, but about unity, about recognizing that true spiritual awakening comes when we honor all aspects of our being. Mary Magdalene's story is a reminder that these hidden teachings were not meant to be locked away, but to help guide us toward a more holistic understanding of our spiritual potential.